the new Barnet manager. We were just talking off air about music, and you played with Rod Stewart's house.
Yeah, once I was invited to play for the Spurs Vets against the Rod Stewart team, and it was an unbelievable experience. It was a fantastic pitch, and to have that in your back garden is something amazing. But then again, the guy's sold so many records and he's a legend, so it was a good experience. I think we actually won the game, so that was even better.
Did you ask for, I like to collect a little bit of memorabilia, did you ask him for anything after the, any tartan trousers or anything?
No, we didn't. We didn't get a chance really. Cause it was one that it was again in the summertime, and he was actually going off to watch Celtic play Queens Park Rangers in a friendly, and he disappeared about 10 minutes before the end of the game, and then we just see a helicopter flying over and land in his back garden and take him away. So we didn't get the opportunity to do that, unfortunately.
That's going out of style, isn't it? Okay, you worked under Keith Birkinshaw, Kevin Keegan, Peter Taylor, amongst other managers. Out of those managers, which one of them inspired you the most, and who do you model yourself on?
I wouldn't say any one. I would say certain managers I've worked under. Jim Smith's another one who bought me twice, Newcastle and Portsmouth. Terry Venables, I was only a young professional at Spurs at the time when he was in charge, and there's certain things you take from certain managers and you think that would be very useful, and there's also managers you work for and you think I wouldn't dare do that. So again, I wouldn't say one, that's the way I model myself. I'd say there's a combination. You try to do things that you've been taught and you think are good, but also you try to put your own input on it.
Would you say you're an autocratic manager? How do you get on with the players? Obviously there's a time when you have to sort of back off and not be one of the lads when you become a manager. How do you deal with the players? Are you autocratic, democratic? Are you a consoling arm around the shoulders? Are you a shouter?
I'm an honest manager, and I'll tell the players the truth. Some players can deal with that, some players can't, but I find out in time who can and who can't, and if they're any good and they've got anything about them, like I did when I was a pro and I was told the truth, you try and get over it as quick as possible, because sometimes the truth hurts. But in the game what we play, you only play bad 9 times out of 10 because you ain't performing, and you've got to realise why you're not performing. You've got to go away and work on your weaknesses. But I am there from 24 hours a day, and I've got still good relationships with some younger players I worked with in their early days in their career, and some of them now, I'm talking back at the days at Grays, some of them now are Premiership players or Championship players, and still keep in contact with them. So it hasn't done them any harm, and it certainly didn't do me any harm listening to Jim Smith come in the dressing room after a game where I'd played poorly and told me a few untruths.
Okay, so that's your relationship with the players. What's your relationship like so far with the chairman?
Fine. Again, when I first came to Barnet on loan, I think it was Tony's first week in charge. So that's a while ago, and since I've been in, obviously in interviews before I got announced the job was mine, he talked very highly of the club and where it wants to go, and he wanted someone to come in charge of the team and try and match it in a certain way. And I think he's seen how I've managed teams before. Now I've got teams to play, and so far so good.
Must be difficult being in that situation though, where you can build relationships up with these guys and get on with them, but knowing any time you get on a bad run, you're out the door.
Yeah, I think someone said to me once, when you're a manager, you're hired to be fired. I've been quite fortunate. Gillingham was the first time I'd been fired. Before at Grays and Stevenage, I actually left on my own accord, so it was probably due. But you get over it, and I'm led to believe you become a better person for it, and I think I will. I've learnt a lot from, like you say, building relationships with chairmen and certain peoples, and never ever once thought it's going to last forever. But it's very important. It's how you depart. That's the most important.
Would you say you were expecting the sack from Gillingham when you went?
No, not at all.
It wasn't expected. So how does it actually work? You're at home, you get a phone call to come in for a meeting, you get a text message. How does it actually?
Well, how it worked at Gillingham was we finished the last game of the season on Saturday away at Wickham. We'd been relegated, unfortunately, and I'd already pre-booked a meeting with the chairman on the Monday morning because we were talking about players for signing for the next season. Obviously, I walked into that meeting and the conversation was changed. He had to make a decision, and I had to accept it, didn't agree with it, and then still as we speak now, we're still solicitors are talking to solicitors and things that still haven't been settled.
So you walk out the boardroom, you know, obviously you're feeling a bit down. What do? Go and clean your desk and go straight home. You know, well, take us through it. You go home, you don't know what to do with yourself. What's going through your head?
But that was a Monday, and I'd already pre-booked to see the players on Tuesday to obviously speak about them for what I wanted them to do in the summer. So I did ask the chairman if he'd give me that time, and he said it's not a problem. But from there, from the Monday morning, I went down, like you say, to my desk, started to tidy it up, and then I went through an experience that I haven't been through before, i.e. walking around the building, collecting bits and pieces and seeing grown women cry. And that was nice, because that just shows you they appreciated me, and I built up a decent relationship with a lot of people, Gillingham, and that was hard.
Through sadness, not through joy. We should
well,
add that bit, Mark.
They said sadness, but I think afterwards it might have been through joy.
Okay, so obviously you've been a manager since, a league manager anyway, since 2007, is that correct? I think you started managing in 2000, or you won your first trophy in 2005.
Yeah, that was obviously non-league.
Okay, you then won the FA Trophy again in 2006 and 2007, so 3 times on the bounce. You then got relegated in 2007, promoted in 2008, relegated in 2009. Would you say that you're manager that things happen to?
Certainly, I think you'd certainly say it's a roller coaster ride with me. And I love the winning side of it, what you just mentioned there, because there's no better buzz, and especially when you go to those the new stadium at Wembley and win. You can't beat that. The other side of the relegation is horrible, and it's something I don't ever want to taste again, because it takes a while to get over it. But no, with me in charge, I think people get excitement, get teams playing a certain way, and I've got this thing about helping younger players develop and move on. And if we can do that at Barnet, they may move on, but the club's going to move on as well. And I think it's very important that young players who come on board with me get told that, and Barnet is a football club, unfortunately at this present time, have to realise that. And I think that's been the past with Barnet. They've had some fantastic players who have come in at a young age and moved on to bigger and better things. One day, I hope, Barnet won't have to do that, and they'll be able to keep all these players and progress up the leagues.
Talking about being a selling club, obviously you come in and Adoma's now gone to Bristol City. You know, when you see players of that calibre, although in my opinion he didn't perform as well as he could have done last season, are you sad to see them go? Do you think, if I knew the guy was staying now, my team could be built around him? How do you feel when you see players like that going?
Yeah, it's a little bit of disappointment, because he's a good player, and that's why it just shows Bristol City or someone like that is going to buy him. But you do feel, I wish I could have worked with him for 6 months or a year, because he would definitely have helped the team. But we have to get on with it. We have to try and replace someone who hopefully could be as good as him in time. If you just think about where that lad actually come from and what he's achieved in the couple of years he's been at the club, it shows it can happen.
Okay, so what's your targets or expectations for the team for this year? Now, I ask this question to every player and manager who comes in for an interview, and they always, well, they never answer it, quite frankly. Where do you expect Barnet to finish this season? You're not going to answer it, are you?
I will answer it, yes, but I'd give it, again, an honest answer. If we can, again, it's difficult. If you keep your best players fit, obviously you're going to achieve a lot. And most teams who win things or get success use a very minimal amount of players. We're putting a new team together, a new group, a new style of football, I think, to what maybe the supporters have seen before. And if it matches up straight away, we could quietly, surprise teams. If it doesn't, it might take a little bit longer. But we just want to make sure we don't get in the situation Barnet were in last year and get nearer that top half of the table. And obviously we were.
Okay, so if if everything goes okay and you don't get the injuries, maybe push the playoffs. Is that maybe what you're eyeing?
You always think that way, of course, and if you didn't, what's the point of worth going into the season with negative thoughts? So that's what we'd be aiming for, and if we get there, I think everyone will deserve a massive pat on the back. If we don't, it won't be for the lack of trying and the lack of the effort and the hours we're going to put in.
Has the chairman given you a rock solid target? Has he, said this is a 1, 2, 3 year plan? Has he said what he wants over the next few years for Barnet FC?
He's set his plan. He's told me his plans, what he wants for Barnet. Me and the chairman have had a good talk. What me and him want from each other, and what we want is 1 year's working together, and then we'll see how we go from there.
Right, okay, we're going to